What up, Raffalitos? Welcome back to my channel. That's Camp Street. We're at Camp and Barrack Street in Kingston. What I want to show you today, however, is Queen's College. This is what's happening here at Queen's College in Georgetown. So this is the western end of the campus, Queen's College campus, and as you can see, the building is being demolished. So that is the western wing of the building. Those of you who attended Queen's College would recognize this as the lower forms 1, 2 and 3 were assembled in this wing of the building, so that the home rooms, as they say in the US, the home rooms were located in these classrooms, and on the other side of the building the upper classes were located. So recently the board, Queen's College board, agreed to reconstruct or rebuild this western wing of the campus because the building had deteriorated. It's probably more than 50 or 60 years old now, this wing of the campus. Those of you who recall, there was a fire in the early 2000s that destroyed the administrative section of the campus, the building. The headmaster's offices, headmistress office, and the teachers' rooms. And they rebuilt that section of the campus with a concrete structure. That also included rebuilding the auditorium. And they left the eastern wing and the western wing of the building untouched. And so this is probably just a continuation of the renovation of Queen's College. That is the renovation or rebuilding this section of the campus is probably long overdue due to the fact that they actually started the process of rebuilding way back in the early 2000s after that fire. This became a very controversial issue, however, because apparently the building is being undertaken by a member of the board, Queen's College board. So this was something that sparked controversy because it led to accusations of insider trading. In other words, if the decision to rebuild Queen's College is being taken by the board and a board member is given the contract to design the new wing of the campus and to build it, then this is a form of corruption. And corruption is quite so common in Guyana that people don't recognize corruption anymore because it's so normalized. But this is the reason for the controversy. The controversy arose because the decision to rebuild this wing of the campus was in fact a decision made by the board, and one member of the board is also a building engineer, and he volunteered his services to design and construct the new building, the new campus building, and that led to the issue of whether in fact it's insider trading. In other words, the ethical thing to do would be to tender for the services of contractors and architects outside of the board, that is to the public, make it a public tender, and then select from the best proposals the best person to rebuild the school. And that was not followed, which is why controversy arose. Now this is the section of the school that was destroyed by fire. See, Queen's College, Regina Collegium. Now this section of the campus of the building was destroyed by fire and was rebuilt. And this is the section that houses the staff rooms and the administrative offices, the headmistress's office, and so on. And south of this is, of course, the auditorium, which was also rebuilt. Those of you who attended Queen's College remember the entire building was a wooden structure, and it was kind of uniform in the sense that the entire building had one architectural design. Now, of course, it looks like it's pieced together, the center here built out of concrete, but the east and west wing still being wooden structures. There's a 3-story wooden building. So what they've destroyed, what they're demolishing right now, is a 3-story. So that's what they're demolishing. It's actually a 3-story wooden building that is the mirror to the eastern section of the building. So this is the eastern half of the building, which is not yet demolished. I'm assuming that eventually they'll get to it, because it wouldn't make sense for them to demolish the western wing and leave the old eastern wing in its original form. But this is the eastern wing of the building. As you can see, it is a unique architecture, not wanting in windows. In other words, I think back in the day when I was a high schooler, the main feature, what was outstanding about this building, was the multiplicity of windows. Although from the inside you couldn't tell, because some of those classrooms were still very dark. But now, with the passage of time and looking at the building in retrospect, it was one of the unique architecturally unique structures in Guyana. And so for now, it looks like something that should be preserved, whether the new building that's being constructed will preserve that architectural design remains to be seen. But clearly, now across the street, that is Marian Academy. That is a elementary school and a high school in one. I think they were like all of the grades, kindergarten to 5th form or even 6th form. But this is the old architecture of Queen's College, and it was in fact quite impressive in its day. And now, as the building is being torn down, I can't help but feeling nostalgic for the old architecture. But we're gonna have to wait and see what the architects have designed for the new building. This is Thomas Land, Thomas Road. This road is now open. It's not complete. We've discussed this road in previous videos, so you're aware of it. It goes all the way to Camp Ghana, Camp Street. Vincentian Road. And once it crosses over Vincentian Road, it becomes Sandy Bab Street. And it runs in this section beside Queen's College. It seems as if they're not going to continue. Apparently, this is the point at which the construction ends. They're not going to continue the construction past Queen's College for some reason. But this is what Queen's College looks like. Now this is the old Queen's College ground with a cricket pitch. You can see the cricket pitch in the distance there. That's the cricket pitch, covered now under some tarp from the rain. There were also some new buildings. I think the Ministry of Education ran some of its research in Queen's College compound in those buildings in the back. But this is the eastern wing, and it is in fact quite unique in its architecture for a high school in Guyana. Particularly the windows, right? Those windows were classic Queen's College, and the building was not air conditioned, but they had these slats, these louvers that allowed for air to flow continuously through the building. It therefore remains to be seen what gets rebuilt, how they design, that is the architects design the new building, whether in fact it will be an air-conditioned structure, a concrete structure that is air-conditioned, or whether it will be like the old structure that was built with airflow in mind. And of course this is close to the Atlantic Ocean, so you always got the breezes of the ocean. This structure straight ahead of us, this Marion Academy structure, that is their auditorium. And as you can see, they've also used the same design as Queen's College. The slats in the wall allowed for the passage of air, the airflow. So all of these windows and the slats, the louvers in the side of the building allowed for airflow. Although I recall some of those classrooms were still quite hot and stuffy, especially on days when there was not a whole lot of wind. But this is what's happening here at Queen's College in Georgetown. The controversy being that the board approved the demolition and reconstruction of the western wing of the building. However, it seems as if someone on the board, one member of the board, was given the contract to design and eventually oversee the construction of the west wing. And that is controversial because typically there would be a public tender to select the best architect and architectural design, as well as the best contractor to do the construction. And that was not observed. That was not done in this section, in this rebuilding of this half of the building. But we will keep track of the progress being made here, and I'm hoping that they actually do come up with a better design and improvement, a more modern building, because what they're giving up is a landmark, like in architecture. This, in fact, for those of you who don't know the history of Queen's College, this is one of the top high schools in Guyana. It's not a it's a public school, it's not a private school, and it's not one of those boarding schools, but it might well have been back in the day when, in the 1950s and 1960s, when the best students in the country attended Queen's College on the scholarship. In those days, it was a boys' school. It was entirely, exclusively male. So all the teachers were male, the masters, all of the students were male, until I think in the late 1970s, early 1980s, when it became co-ed. In the days when it was a all-boys school, the equivalent girls' school was the Bishop's High School, and those two schools were the top schools in the country, equivalent to like Oxford and Cambridge in the UK. So this school does have a rich history and tradition, and now embroiled in some minor controversy. It remains to be seen what actually happens with this design and construction of the new school building and what it looks like. But we'll keep track of it. There have been new buildings. I'm assuming that since this is one of the new buildings that was constructed. I remember the headmaster's building used to be in this location not so long ago, like maybe 5 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, before they constructed this building. That was location of the headmaster's building. Headmaster's the home. But we'll keep track of that and wait to see what it looks like by the time it's completed. This is Queen's College. Now we're on Camp Street and of course Barrack Street just past the entrance. And I'll keep you updated on what emerges, what happens with this building. That's it, guys. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about Queen's College and the controversial construction of the new west wing of the building. Like I said, in this corner of the compound used to be the headmaster's home, and that has now been rebuilt into a much larger structure with expanded floor square footage. This is the National Tennis Center here in Georgetown. It's now not as useful as it was back in the day when we would play tennis from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Although they've rebuilt it, they've made it more restrictive, so you can't really just walk onto the courts here and play tennis anymore, which is unfortunate. There is, however, need for a lot of tennis courts to be built, and hopefully somebody in the future will come along and build tennis courts across the country, as well as swimming pools across the country, so that Guyanese kids can learn to play tennis and swim. But that's it, guys. That's what's happening in this neck of the woods. This is the immigration office, and across, of course, the way, that's Georgetown Technical Institute. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing economy in the world, Guyana. Later!